very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Ashing Sani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. New government's first foreign investment worth of $250 million will be launched shortly. Sri Lanka expects 4 to 4.5% economic growth in 2020, says newly appointed central bank governor. News in detail. The Finance Ministry announces that new government's first foreign investment worth of $250 million mixed project will be launched shortly.
Issuing a press release, Finance Ministry says that the first foreign investment under the new government of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will be launched shortly. This investment will be made on a plot of land located between the Bere Lake and Shangri-La Hotel on Baladaksha Mawatha in Colombo by a foreign investor called Perennial Real Estate Holdings. This foreign investment project will see the construction of a 30-story commercial tower inclusive of 700 new residencies, and in addition it will also have facilities for retail and food outlets. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal made by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Minister of Finance, Economy and Policy Development to facilitate investment activities for the relevant company. With the signing of the agreement soon, the land for the project will be leased out to the company and the government of Sri Lanka will receive $43 million as the payment for the leasing.
Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman stresses that Sri Lanka is expecting 4 to 4.5% economic growth in 2020 with inflation below 4% and a higher 6.5% growth in the medium term with better policies. Newly appointed Central Bank Governor made these observations last Friday, speaking at his maiden monetary policy meeting after assuming duties as the new Central Bank Governor.
Accordingly, addressing the maiden monetary policy review, Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman says statistics on unemployment appear acceptable, but they hide issues such as underemployment, low labor force participation, high unemployment amongst educated youth and aging labor force, and low productivity, and that these need to be addressed if the government is to realize its goal of eliminating poverty through effective utilization of labor resources. Central Bank Governor added that with the revival of economic activity, Central Bank expects economic growth to accelerate to around 4 to 4.5% and inflation to remain below 4% in 2020. He further stressed that Sri Lanka will have to follow an alternate economic policy without being caught up in between the neoliberalism intervention and Washington consensus of stabilize, privatize and liberalize. Meanwhile, answering a question raised by a journalist at the same monetary policy review, Senior Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Nandalal Veerasinghe, noted that the Central Bank will decide imposing penalties on 7 commercial banks which had failed to bring down interest rates. Leading banks such as the People's Bank, DFCC Bank and Sampath Bank are still to lower the interest rates in line with the ceiling imposed for December 2019, he added. The smaller banks, including the Public Bank, Axis Bank, Cargill's Bank and Indian Overseas Banks, are also yet to lower interest rates, he further revealed.
More than 95,000 dengue cases and 90 clinically confirmed dengue deaths have been reported from all parts of the country this year, recording an alarming increase of dengue deaths compared to that of last year.
The Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry states that 96,903 dengue cases and 90 clinically confirmed dengue cases have been reported from all parts of the country this year. According to the sources, over 90 clinically confirmed dengue deaths this year is an alarming rate, as only 58 dengue deaths were reported during 2018. The Western Province recorded 42,636 dengue cases, which is the highest in the country. With ongoing rainy conditions, the Epidemiology Unit has identified 5 high-risk districts such as Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Ratnapura and Galle districts. The Colombo district recorded 19,567 dengue cases, the Gampaha district had 15,259 and the Kandy district recorded 8,465 dengue cases. The highest number of dengue patients of 21,511 had been reported in November. Meanwhile, medical experts and consultants advised pregnant mothers to get admitted to a hospital on the first day of fever, and they said the public should seek medical treatment for any type of fever without delay and without applying home remedies.
Economic analyst Varuna Singapuli emphasizes that Sri Lanka should leverage on technology in order to attain the upper middle income status. Talking to the Art Television's BizWatch program, economic analyst Singapuli further noted that Sri Lanka is facing the brain drain since there are no ample job opportunities in high technology related spheres.
See, if you take all the newly developed countries over the last few decades, if you take South Korea, if you take Taiwan, they developed through technology. So if you take Taiwan, it was mostly semiconductor oriented. If you take Korea, you know the smartphones, you know the port industry. So today's world is all about technology. See, if you take from smartphones to social media, it's all technology. So that's where the high growth is. That's where the investors get attracted to. So for Sri Lanka also to get into this. See, we always complain that we are still stuck with apparel, we are still stuck with foreign remittances, mainly from housemaids in the Middle East. But for us to make the next leap, we have to get into the growth areas, and growth is pretty much around technology. Say, once we have semiconductor companies, there will be workforces, like then the knowledge gets transferred. Then there will be people with that expertise who will open their own businesses. Then we have our people who have left the country who are specialists in semiconductors, smartphones and all that, and for them jobs will open up in Sri Lanka. Right now, if you are a semiconductor specialist, there's no job opening in Sri Lanka. So you might be a Sri Lankan living in US or Taiwan, expert in that area, but you love to come to Sri Lanka, but no job opportunities. And they might come and start open up their own operation because they have enough people to hire. The technology is already here.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Power and Renewable Energy Minister Mahinda Amaraveera says that the premium of the foreign debt and due interest for the next year is bigger than the state revenue for the year. Minister Amaraveera, addressing a public gathering at Nonagama in Hambantota yesterday, said that however, the government has no plans to slash the welfare measures for the needy citizens.
මේ වෙනකොට අපේ රටේ අපි අධික ණය බරකින් පීඩාවට පත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
At present, we are facing a huge debt issue. In next year, the state revenue is not enough to settle due loan premium and the interest. Accordingly, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to slash all unnecessary expenses and to increase the national production in the country. The plan is to ensure an export economy. The government will encourage all to engage in something enabling the reduction of importation. At present, we are used to import each and everything, and that should be changed. In this process, the government expects the assistance from each and every citizen. Accordingly, all of you have to engage in some work. For an example, the country annually spends around 14,500 million rupees to import chilies. We can build a new port from that amount. Therefore, we must plan at least to plant a tree which is useful for the country.
Election monitoring body PAFREL urges the obligatory authorities to take strict measures to control the unnecessary rise of candidates contesting for the presidential election. Meanwhile, PAFREL also made some key proposals to solve this issue, showcasing the interim report of the presidential election last week.
We wish to request the authority to come up with some sort of mechanism to control this unnecessary candidate for coming presidential elections. Otherwise, there will be 100 candidates in a next presidential elections, because we have 70 political parties already, and even independent candidate can contest the elections if they have 75,000 rupees. So our proposal is we need to increase the deposit at least for 1 million, and also there should be the vote base if they are contesting the presidential elections. At least if it is a local authority, there should be 25 members. If it is a provincial, at least 5 members, or otherwise at least they should have one parliamentarian if they are willing to contest the elections. Or if they wanted to continue without these provisions, then there should be a fine if they are not able to get at least 1% of the cast vote.
Speaking further, PAFREL Executive Director Rohan Hettiarachchi made more recommendations for the issuance of the medical certificate of the differently abled individuals. Moreover, PAFREL highlights that Sri Lanka's voter registry should be valid for 10 years since a considerable number of voters could not vote at the last presidential election due to registration issues.
According to the present system, the disabled people, even though they are permanently disabled, they have to take the medical certificate each and every election. So this is really disturbing, and the authority can make one certificate those disabled people to franchise their right for each and every election. And voter registration also, in largely Sri Lanka, voter registration is, we need to appreciate the Elections Commission and the Gramaladari, they are doing it well. But there are certain occasions we have reported some voters were not able to register for the last election. Especially in the Dehiwal area, we have reported more than 200 voters were not able to cast because of the registration issue. So as a election monitoring organizations working in this field more than 35 years, we wish to appeal the authority again to have a base registry at least for 10 years. Because according to the present system, even though you have registered last 10-15 years, if you are not able to register this year, you will lose your voting right for the coming election.
Sri Lanka's Petroleum Resources Development Secretariat entered into a joint study agreement with French and Norwegian oil and gas companies Total and Equinor to explore the hydrocarbon potential in the JS5 and JS6 blocks in the northern eastern coast of the country. Speaking exclusively to our television, PRD's Director General Vajra Dasanayake says more seismic activities will be included as of its future steps.
In 2016, we entered into a joint study agreement with French oil giant Total, and this year we joined in Equinor as well for the joint study program for ultra-deep water blocks JS5 and JS6 in the northeastern coast of Sri Lanka. And the initial seismic survey was carried out in 2018 and for a line of about 5,000 line kilometers. And the data processing was concluded the beginning of this year, somewhere in April. And thereafter, the initial interpretation work was done by geoscientists attached to Total. And their findings were known to us by around April. We had a workshop in Singapore, and they are planning the preceding steps. So the 2020 year will bring in more seismic acquisition in those two blocks because there's a 20-kilometer gap between each seismic line in that area, and there'll be infill lines, seismic lines done by Total, hoping to be done by Total in 2020. And also to determine the presence of hydrocarbon, they will be doing a seabed coring operation. Also that is planned for 2020 for the blocks JS5 and JS6. And that will be jointly conducted by Total and Equinor.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The all-share price index gained 33.36 points to close at 6,156, and the S&P SL20 dropped 13.82 points to close at 2,958.27. The turnover was 903 million rupees and over 48 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. That's all the news for today. Join us tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.